Hi, and welcome to our YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Briana with Vacation of the Mind. In my last video, I was on a quest to find the answer as to why some people are so capable of staying cool, calm, and collected in stressful situations, while others are frantic and frazzled, completely rattled to the core. The answer that I found to be true is that it is a person's perspective of that situation that determines their reaction or response. If you haven't checked out that video, I highly recommend it, where we dive into why perspective is so important. In today's video, we are going to be talking about how to shift your perspective. I'm going to give you a technique that you can utilize in various situations in your life to take a look at that situation from a different point of view. Perspective is transformative in our lives. If you are able to shift your mindset from looking at something with just one style of belief system versus looking at it from a whole other angle or point of view, you can truly change your behavior or reaction to that stressful or challenging situation, or even a decision that you have to make. You see, the mind has to be retrained to think, process, and react differently. We come with a set of beliefs and a set of thought processes that have basically governed everything we do in our lives. And in order to be able to shift your point of view or perspective in situations, it's important to retrain your mind to take a look at all of the different ways that you can look at that specific situation. So let's dive in. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the Blimp Perspective. It is an amazing tool that I have used in a lot of different situations in my life to help keep my emotions in check and to also help to keep me out of a reactionary frame of mind and into a responsive frame of mind, which allows me to think better and make better decisions. So we're going to look at the idea of a football game today. We're going to take the concept of a professional football game. You have your field and your stadium. During the middle of a game, you have players from two different teams that are on the field. You have the coaches from both teams that are on the sidelines, as well as additional backup players or other players that are subbed in, and a lot of different roles that they play. You also have the stadium and the fans that are in the stadium cheering the teams on. And usually in those stadiums, there's a little coach's box right up at the top of the stadium where another set of coaches sit in that box and they're able to talk to the coaches that are on the sidelines in the field. So now that you have an understanding of football, how does this relate to perspective? Imagine that you are on the field as one of the players. Let's just say that you're the quarterback of the team. As the quarterback on the team, leading that set of players, you're basically able to see what's right in front of you. You're able to see your players on the field, and you're able to see some of the players from the other team. Now you have to make calls for the game to win that game based on what you can see, which in most situations is just what's right in front of you. Now, in addition to that, we also have the coaches on the side of the field, as well as other team members. You see, the coaches on the other side, on the sides of the field, can see a little bit more than the players that are on the field. They can see the entire length of the field. They can see what both players from both teams are doing, how they're lining up, what calls they're making, when a quarterback is calling a specific play and the defense has to respond. It's really important for the coaches on the other side, on the side of the field, to be able to see how that defense is lining up to the play that they just called. And this all goes into the decisions that are made for that specific team on the field. Now, in addition to the coaches on the field, we have the coaches that are in the box, the top of the stadium. And instead of just being able to see the field that's directly in front of them with the two teams, they're actually able to see the entire stadium. They're able to see the other coaches on the other side of the field. They're able to see both teams and the players and the entire field, what's going on in the entire field. They're also able to see how the fans are interacting and responding to the game. There's one more position that I didn't tell you about in the beginning of this video. You know, that blimp that floats by the games that we all like to enjoy watching or wish we were in it. Well, that's actually a whole different perspective to the football game. Imagine being in that blimp. Now, instead of just being able to see the field, you can actually see the entire city. You can see how the stadium fits within the city, what the traffic flows and people flows are from the game to the game. You're also able to see all of the moving parts within that stadium and on the field. You just get a wider point of view. How does this apply to your daily life? Well, let's take a look at that. If you have an important decision to make, or let's say a critical situation has come up and it's causing you some stress, if you're the player on the field looking at that situation or that decision as with the information that's just right in front of you, you're only going to be able to make decisions with that direct, immediate information, kind of with your blindfolders on. Just like when we put blindfolders on a horse so that they can't see all of these areas, all they can see is what's right in front of them. When you're the player on the field, all you're seeing is what is right in front of you. If you're able to pull out and be a coach on the sideline instead of a player on the field, now you're able to see a much wider version of the game. You're able to see the entire field. You're able to really fully, truly see the other team members that are playing for the competitive side. And you're able to make better calls and better decisions because you have a wider point of view. Now, if you're the coach in the coach's box up at the top of the stadium, now you can really make different decisions because you're able to predict things that the coach on the sideline or the players on the field are not able to see. You're able to see what the other coaches on the other sideline are doing. You're also able to see how the fans are interacting and responding. And so all of those can go into the decisions that are made or the communication that's happening from the coach in the box at the top of the stadium to the coach on the sidelines and then transferred over to the team. Now, if you're in the blimp, you have a much wider view of what is able to be seen. You can see the entire city and how the stadium is affecting or interacting with the entire city. So if you're able to look at a situation by being in the blimp at the top of the situation, also as an observer mentality, looking down, observing the situation, and really seeing all the different angles or all of the different moving parts of that situation, you're going to be able to make a more informed decision. And it usually won't be as emotional as if you are the player on the field. You know, your adrenaline's pumping, you're super excited, or you're emotional about that critical decision that you have to make. When you're able to pull out and look at things from a 360-degree view, you're just able to put it into a different perspective, right? A different point of view. You're really able to make the decision based on all of the moving parts instead of just what you're seeing. I like to use this in many of life situations that come up. Sometimes I'm the player on the field, sometimes I'm the coach on the sideline, sometimes I'm the coach in the box, and other times I pull back to get a 360-degree view of what's really going on in the situation. And what I've found is this helps me to reduce my emotional response. Instead of being so reactive to situations, I'm able to take a pause and really think about all of the parts of that situation and what should my decision be to respond to that situation or to that decision from a less stressful point of view, from a point of view of seeing all of the moving parts, and maybe even how other people are interacting or feeling to the moving parts. For example, in my last video on perspective, I took road rage as an example. To apply this example with a road rage situation, a car on the interstate cuts me off, and at first I'm emotional. I'm that team player on the field. I just want to give this car a piece of my mind, right? How dare you cut me off? Moments later, I find myself next to the car, and it's a woman driving who's clearly crying and super emotional, almost in like a frantic state. And all of a sudden, my perspective, as I pulled out to be the blimp above the stadium, or to look down on this situation on the interstate, I became sympathetic, because now my wanting to give her a peace of mind has turned to sympathy, of hoping that her family is okay, and wondering whatever that situation is that she's dealing with, she wasn't doing it to be mean or rude to me. She was truly doing it because herself is in a frantic state. Maybe she's trying to get to the hospital. Maybe her mom or dad has just received some bad news. Maybe she's just having a rough day. So when you're able to pull back and look at the entire situation, you can react to that situation differently, reducing your stress and anxiety and helping you make an overall better decision. I encourage you, the next time that you're in a critical situation or a big decision to be made, to take a pause and pull back and look at that situation from multiple angles so that you can best decide how to respond. Thanks again for tuning in. If this video has been helpful, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel and like or comment. I'd love to hear from you how you've taken the Blimp perspective and applied it to your life. There are other videos here on our YouTube channel that you can tune into, from guided meditations to reduce stress, all the way to workplace wellness. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Briana with Vacation of the Mind, and until the next time we meet, I hope you have a wonderful day.